Welcome back to Dspn. It was a big week in sports this week, including the championship games in the NFL. The Eagles beat the Commanders 55-23. Mason and I are both Eagles fans, so I'll let Mason start.
The Eagles dominated. They really dominated that game. The first half was great. I mean, no punts in the first half from either team. It was a great game to watch. And, the Eagles came out on top.
Saquon Barkley's not human.
Yeah,
dude.
Washington couldn't stop the run, and Saquon had a big day. So did Hurts, and
Jaden Daniels is also really good at football. Shout out
Jaden Daniels is really good. And just saw that Kenny Pickett has more snaps in the NFC Championship than any Cowboys quarterback since 2000. So, yeah.
And then the Chiefs beat the Bills 32-29.
The game was fixed. You all know what happened. We're not even going to explain it. The game was fixed. The game was rigged. Rodgers happy. Goodell is happy, but no one else is. So
I don't know, Taylor Swift fans. Swifties are pretty happy.
I mean, yeah, that's what's making Goodell money. So that game was rigged. It was fixed, and I don't feel the need to talk about it on here.
I will say there were a lot of questions. There were like two really big questionable calls. One of them was that catch,
the interception, which was obviously
not.
It was obviously incomplete.
And then Josh Allen's fourth down, where he completely got that first down.
Yes. I was in disbelief watching it. I couldn't believe it.
He got that first down by a big margin, too.
I couldn't believe it.
But Super Bowl 59 now is a repeat of Super Bowl, was it 57? 57, where the Chiefs are playing the Eagles. Go Birds.
The uniforms are Eagles in green and Chiefs in white. So that doesn't really matter unless you're really superstitious. The team in white has won most of the Super Bowls, but the last two teams to win it in their home jersey are the Eagles and the Chiefs. So
these two teams are very, very, very good, and they turnovers.
The Chiefs
barely
aren't
happen.
that good. The Chiefs are not that good.
I don't know. They've gotten better during the playoffs. They're cooking at the right time.
They have 5 extra players on their team that are wearing a different jersey.
All right. So the big news going into the Super Bowl is Brandon Graham is coming off of IR after, I think, how long did he miss?
I don't know. It's been a while for him. I think he's missed the entire playoffs. I think it was the Rams game where he got hurt.
Because I know he tore his tricep.
The first game against the Rams in the regular season. But, it'll be good to have him back since it's his last season and, his last game. And it'll definitely be a little emotional for him. But,
there's a chance he might be able to go out on top, too.
Yeah, he might go out on top. He might go out there and get a sack or two. But his replacement, Nolan Smith's also been having.
Do you think they started Brandon Graham coming off a tricep or
no
this early? I was gonna say, you think they play him maybe in the second half?
Maybe, but I know Nolan Smith has been doing really well.
He's been killing
in his
it
place. He's leading the team in sacks this postseason. So yeah.
So and then was a lot of news in the coaching carousel. Most notable being Mike Vrabel is a Patriots coach.
It's a good hire. It's a good hire.
It's a culture hire.
Former Patriot, and also a decent coach too with the Titans.
He brought the Titans to a couple playoff games.
Yeah, he did. He did.
With Ryan Tannehill, a quarterback.
Yeah, I wasn't sure it was either divisional or AFC Championship they took him to once. But
I think it was the divisional because I remember them losing to. I think the farthest they lost to the Ravens.
Yeah, I know they lost to the Chiefs. I know they beat the Patriots one time, but that's a good hire. That's a good hire for the Pats.
Agreed. Pete Carroll becomes the oldest head coach in the entire NFL at age 73 for the Las Vegas Raiders.
That's not a bad hire. He's old, but I mean he's a good coach.
He's an intense coach too. Have you seen those clips from?
Yeah.
I think he's a good hire. It's just I don't know how long he's gonna end up being around.
Yeah, it's a good hire, but I don't know how long he's gonna last.
He's got 3 or 4 years maybe.
Yeah.
For the team.
Yeah.
At most, but a coach that was fired very early got a defensive coordinating job as Robert Saleh will go to the 49ers as the defensive coordinator.
It's a good hire.
He was He was fired too early.
Most times he was fired because Rodgers wanted his head.
That is true.
But you know, when you hire someone that is a former head coach, it's usually a good hire. You know, they have experience as a defensive coordinator and as a head coach. But when you hire someone with both of those experiences, it works out pretty well a lot.
So I think this will end up being a good hire, especially because they have one of the best defenses in the NFL when they're completely healthy.
Yeah, that's a pretty good hire for the Red Cowboys.
Yeah, the Red Cowboys.
Yes.
So still in the football, but college instead. Penn State signed Jim Knowles.
That is a great.
That's a big hire.
You know, stealing him from Ohio State.
And then in college football, Penn State signed Jim Knowles, which is a huge pickup.
Yes, that is a great job by Penn State, being able to snatch him off the hands of Ohio State, their biggest rival. So that's just overall one of the best possible choices you could have made is hiring somebody.
Especially obviously college football champion, national champion of Ohio State as well.
Yeah.
Penn State are all in.
Yeah, they're all in.
So we've under the NBA, we had if you've been listening to this podcast for a decent amount of time, you will know that I pretty consistently give Mason crap for being a Sixers fan. And I am a Cleveland Cavaliers fan. So karma has come back to bite me in a not very good manner. As the Sixers beat the Cavs.
They beat them by quite a bit, too.
I think it was 20.
It was a considerable margin. You lost to Paul George and friends.
George dropped 60.
I think this was one of the games where some of our players tried instead of one of them. So
one time you have players that play good, it's against us.
Yeah, the one time Paul George tries, it's against the Cavaliers. So Maxey and friends prevails.
They didn't even have Embiid, did they?
Probably not.
I hate everything.
I doubt they had Embiid.
A franchise that definitely hates everything right now, especially if you're a fan of this franchise. The Heat are not in a very good spot right now, as Jimmy Butler is very, very, very angry and is trying to leave in any way possible.
Yeah, he walked out of a shoot-around and has also had 2 different instances where he's been suspended due to, player relations, those kinds of...
He got suspended indefinitely yesterday after walking out of a shoot-around. They have to trade him at this point, right?
He's gone.
He's gone.
He's either traded or released somehow. So.
I don't think they release him. I think he's too good to release. So I think instead
he's not gonna play for you.
I know, but I think instead you would rather get something out of him than not get anything.
Yeah.
So I think they trade him for a big name player.
I don't think they're gonna trade him for anything substantial. I think it'll maybe be a second round pick and a player, but I don't see it being anything.
I think it'll be a
huge.
decent 6th man and then maybe a second round pick.
Yeah, I don't know.
The Sixers would be not a horrible landing spot for the guy.
You know, the thing about that, though, is that you should be on the Sixers in the first place. He shouldn't have gone to the Heat. You should have just stayed with the Sixers.
Why is that, Mason? Because Ben Simmons?
Yeah. Hey, LeBron. It's okay. Ben Simmons is here. We're all good.
Actual words from, was it Colin Cowherd?
Yeah.
That was a horrible take. Also, LaMelo Ball is hurt, which is terrible for the Hornets.
Yes, the Hornets are going to go down like a sinking ship, and they don't have anyone. They have
Terry Rozier. Not anymore. I lied.
Exactly. He's washed. Number 1, Terry Rozier's washed, and number 2, they don't have anyone else. The Hornets are going to lose 30 straight games.
Until LaMelo's back.
And then they're going to win one once they play the 76ers. But they're going to go down, and they're going to burn.
And our final thing, until we get to the player game and bum of the week, Logan Thompson signs a 6-year, $35.1 million deal with the Capitals in the NHL.
That is a huge deal. You know, he's kind of the unsung hero of that Capitals team. He has...
obviously there's Ovi, but then...
Yeah, he has really, really, really been a great player, even when Ovi's been off the ice, which he has been for a good chunk of the season.
He's on my fantasy hockey team. I've not been very happy.
Yeah, when Ovi's been off the ice, he's been the one to, get the points, lift the guys up, and that's the reason why they're sitting at the top of the division, sitting at the top of the NHL. That's a good contract.
That's a good contract. So, now we'll get into our weekly player, game, and bum of the week. Mason, would you like to go first? Who is your player of the week?
My player of the week, probably had the most, just the highest outcome, I guess, on the field. Just was the most productive, person on the field. And I'm going to give it to the refs for Kansas City. They definitely played a huge factor in the game. Really had so many yards. It was a great day for them. Generational performance from them.
I'm going to give it to Saquon Barkley for the third straight week. He had 3 touchdowns at 160-something yards rushing on I don't know how many carries, but he killed it that game, and now he's finally going to a Super Bowl, which, let's be honest, he was never going to go to if he was still a Giant. Sorry.
You could say the same thing about the playoffs.
Yeah, he probably would never have made the playoffs. Game of the week, Mace?
Game of the week, I would probably have to go with the NFC Championship.
Really? I would go with the AFC.
It was high scoring. The AFC Championship, it was closer, but it was just too affected by non-player people. The Zebras affected the game way too much.
The Red Zebras.
And honestly, I don't think I could give it to them for affecting the game so much. So I'm giving it to the NFC Championship because it was a high-scoring, good football game.
I personally disagree with you. I am going to give it to AFC Championship, especially because of the fact that it was a super close game and it came down all the way to the wire. And they won on a field goal. Well, technically they won on a first down, but at the same time. But my point is, that game was great. Watched the most of it. It was very, very good game. And last but not least, your bum of the week. You already gave it to the refs, so you can't give it to the refs.
I'm going to give it to Josh Harris, the owner of the 76ers, the Devils, and the Commanders. Because, the only team, how teams post on social media, good luck, this team in the playoffs. The Phillies did that, the Flyers did that, the Sixers didn't for the Eagles. So they took that personally.
It's probably because they're owned by the same people who own the Commanders.
Yeah, but he owns them and kind of ran them into the ground. And then and the Commanders lost, so everyone's laughing at him for that. Then the next day, the Flyers play the Devils. The coach for the Flyers had to cancel the morning skate because all the half of them didn't show up. Half players didn't show up. The ones that did were throwing up before the before halfway through, and so he just canceled it. All the players hung over, beat the Devils that night, scored 3 goals in the first period. So Josh Harris, you are the bum of the week.
And my bum of the week, I really haven't thought too much about this because there's been a lot of good, but personally, I think I'm gonna give it to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers because of the fact of how because they were extremely angry for absolutely no reason about the Jags coaching hire.
Oh yeah.
And then that that video. If you've seen, what's his name?
Dude, every time
it was Cohen, right?
Every time I see that video, I just want to chuck my phone across the room. I can't do it. I just want to curl up into a ball and cry when I see that. Just the amount of cringe is so insane.
He's such a goober. That's a horrible video. I saw it for the first time today, and I'm not even gonna lie. I almost did exactly what Mason said. And now Mason's not gonna stop saying it for the next week. So that's gonna do it for today's episode of DSPN. Thank you guys for listening on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, and on WVIN in Bath. Link will be in the description of this video if you're watching it on Spotify, if you're listening on Spotify or Apple, or watching on YouTube. See you.